It is working now, so I did not solve previous mysteries, but I have
Right.
prohibited it from happening again.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Al.
I think we are live now. Thank you
Yep,
for
I
your
see it there.
patience while I work one-handed.
Oh, no, that's right. Bless you. Thank you. All right. Well, listen, Karen has half of her limbs and we have half of our commissioners, so it's going to be an easy ride today. Hello to everyone in the audience. Enrique, nice to see you. Jean, John, Ms. Gall, Catherine, my neighbor. Hello. Nice to see everybody. The agenda for today is on our website as always. Karen, will you drop it or want me to drop it? I have it handy. Actually, I can just do it.
If you have it handy, that'd be great.
I've got it, dropping it in the chat for everyone. Apologies that we did not have a guest speaker. We were so close. Wait, can I drag and drop? Yes, I can. Agenda's in the chat for everyone to follow along. Our guest speaker fell through. We have already rescheduled tentatively. They're going to double confirm for the May meeting. And we asked DC Water to come and talk about recalculations of rates that are being assessed. And also we asked for an update on lead-free DC projects going on in 1B area. That one was mostly at my request, although I know there are a couple other projects going on. We've had a start and stop situation with our lead-free over here. So I wanted to understand what's going on. So look forward to that on May 7th. Well, I'm sorry. Let's go ahead and do our roll call, please. If Secretary Fay will do me the honor.
Of course, Commissioner Barrio is out. Commissioner Sycamore.
Present.
Commissioner Lemon-Strauss.
Here.
Commissioner Harris.
Present.
Commissioner Hanrahan.
Present.
Commissioner Trindade-Duramo.
Present.
Commissioner Fay is here. Commissioner Kenzik is out, and Commissioner Holden is also out. So we have 5 of 9 with quorum. We also have our chair of community engagement, Al Wilkins.
And our chair of ZPD is also out under the weather. There are multiple of you. Commissioner Harris, thank you for being here, toughing it out. Things do be going around. All right, commissioners, before you, we have on the consent agenda only the minutes from from the March meeting and the agenda for tonight's meeting. Do I hear a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I move to the motion.
Is there a second?
Do it all.
Great. Without objection, we'll consider it adopted unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll go into committee reports. And as I noted, the ZPD chair is under the weather, so I think Commissioner Fay will be delivering very briefly in his stead. Thank you for stepping in.
Yep. Let me just pull up my agenda because I actually didn't realize that was the very first one that was there. Give me 1 second. I'll just give a couple of quick updates, and as I'm pulling this up, coming up, no significant updates from the March ZPD meeting. Christian did want to share a couple of items that were important that were coming up. One, there will be a HPRB case that they will be reviewing and discussing. It is in fact in Ledroit Park down the street from me. So there will be a presentation and discussion on that. David Meny from Councilmember Nadeau's office will also be in attendance at the next ZPD meeting, which is April 20th, talking about some of the important legislation that the council member has put forward that impacts not quite zoning, but housing, including an important bill on housing omnibus, which proposes some significant changes to the Housing Production Trust Fund. And so Christian wanted to make sure that folks were aware of Mr. Meny's attendance and inviting you to attend. I would also add that it's going to be a good discussion and one that's worthy of folks coming to.
Thank you very much. I know they're also discussing, I think, the One Front Door Act.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you mentioned it, sorry. And Christian did confirm there is a meeting tomorrow, just FYI to commissioners, with representatives of the Office of Planning to talk about how we structure the ANC's input in terms of the comprehensive plan rewrite. The first step of that process is interfacing with OP and understanding how they're thinking about the plan and how we can most fruitfully structure our feedback to them. So that first call will happen tomorrow. Very glad that's moving along. Next up is ABCR. We don't have that much to report, I think, Commissioner Hanrahan, which is nice for you. What have you guys been working on?
Yes. Hopefully not that much to report. We are kind of working on there's some streetery language in there, kind of looking at our settlement agreements and incorporating language on streeteries. We're still in the process of reviewing the Noise Balance Amendment Act proposal and having a comment on that. So I think stay tuned for the next meeting to talk more about that. Following up still with an alley, 9.5 alley walk we will do. Lots of active protests and discussions about that. And also kind of the great weight of the ANC and what resolutions mean and got some follow up there for that. But we yeah, so a couple things in the works, and we'll just keep going at it. But the noise balance is probably the biggest thing in our agenda.
Good. Are you looking ahead to is there a hearing date set for it that you're hoping to testify at, or we don't know yet?
Absolutely not. We have no idea where that stands,
Cool.
but we want to try and like comment on it to keep moving it along.
Okay. Thanks very much. Appreciate it. I also had a conversation with Commissioner Hanrahan about the resolution we sent to ABCR a couple months ago, asking them to take a look at their processes and jot down some notes, lest there be a lot of turnover and we lose institutional knowledge. The commission had asked for a report back by June, I think. Commissioner Hanrahan has pointed out that it might take them a little bit longer. I'm prepared to be a little flexible about it. I don't think the commission really needs to like take a formal vote on it. If somebody's quite bothered about it or hot under the collar, let me know. We'll talk about it. We got 2 months to think about how to handle. But if it goes a couple more months past that, I won't be too upset as long as we have a good product in the end to sort of capture everything that you've learned in your tenure, which is a lot, and some of the
Very
ways that we
true.
can streamline the process, of which there are several.
Yeah. We aim to
Cool.
please, Miguel. We will
We
hopefully
aim to
get
please.
there.
Great. All right. Committee on Community Engagement, Mr. Wilkins, please.
Of course. Three quick updates. The first one I'm pretty excited about. We have finalized our farmers market interest survey. So hopefully getting that out to the ANC this month, and then being able to come back in May and share some results from that. And just to give you guys a quick overview, it's an interest survey just to see how frequently folks are currently attending farmers markets around the city, as well as where in our ward would they want to potentially pursue doing that, as well as sharing some information of the existing Ward 1 farmers markets that are available. So that'll be coming out shortly. Second update, we met with the Ninth and a Half Street mural project team in March, in March, and talked through that. And we're really excited to support those murals. I know that was presented at the last meeting. A few things that we're going to be supporting the project on is helping them with obviously recruiting and getting folks to help with the painting, but also specifically on the funding side. So I'm working with that group on that. And then the third thing that our group is really excited, our committee is really excited about, making sure that we're getting the word out on ranked voting education and just preparing for the upcoming primaries on June 16th. So there's a number of upcoming education sessions on ranked voting that are now on the ANC 1B calendar, can be found on the website. And those are being led by the DC Election Board and open to anyone. And there's some that are here in Ward 1, but then also across the city. So making sure we're just getting folks educated and getting that communication out to folks is going to be our priority for the next, few months.
Can I ask real quick, or just suggest on the farmers market survey, how are you going about surveying?
Yes. So our two strategies right now, and I'm open to feedback or other ideas, is one including it in the next newsletter that goes out, and then also hoping that commissioners will share it with their areas in the next few weeks, and I can send everyone the link and the language, and all of that is finalized. So that was our planned next steps. But if there are other more creative ideas or ways to get in touch with folks directly, open to any ideas.
Cool. Happy to do that. Karen, if we could take away an item and just double check. I think MailChimp has a poll feature that we could use, which might be fun. Let's verify that. Happy to put a link in my newsletter, of course. I know Commissioners Barrio and Holden at least do their own newsletters. Matt writes to his constituents a lot. I'm sure everybody would be willing to do that. If people on CE committee wanted to go out and poll people live in the flesh, we do have supplies. We have like little palm cards for the ANC. We've got a tablecloth and stuff like that we haven't used since it was nice last summer. So we could have a conversation about setting that up. That'd be fun.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. All right. If no questions, then we'll move on to Committee on Economic Development, Commissioner Fay.
Okay. The big topic for us last month will continue into this month is a focus on the Business Improvement District. We were able to hear an update from the bid organizers. They are navigating, a bunch of kind of details that they have to go through, but also, the challenges that are facing U Street right now with increased vacancies, retail rents being down as a result of those vacancies, and a lot of the larger property owners being under some pressure. They are undeterred. They are continuing to focus on getting the petition signed. We are helping them to the extent that we are able to make sure that we're connecting them with business owners and property owners. And then they are going to be coming back to the committee this month with some additional answers to questions that folks raised. Our goal is to present to this group in May a resolution in support of a bid being formed on U Street. There are a couple of questions, though, that we do want to make sure that we're really clear on before we endorse it. And then they are working right now to try to take that forward to council and to Councilmember Nadeau in particular by the deadline, which is before council recess in June. So that's the big update there. Secondary updates, Nicole Rivera will be asking you during your report. We'll give you more than your normal allotment of time for any update that you might have on the Throne toilet and the placement of that. That's been something that we've been tracking and understand that surveys are still taking place. So if there is an update, great. If not, we'll continue to stay on top of it. And then finally, received word that DPR is starting to focus on the 625 T Street Park, and so we'll be engaging them. Although we have handed that over to TPPS, we'll be engaging them to make sure that DPR is holding their community engagement work. As we have requested, to make sure that Triangle Park space in front of the Howard Theater is reflective of community need and want. But we also appreciate, to call out again, Councilmember Nadeau's funding of small parks in Ward 1, which includes funding for that particular space as well.
Very nice. Happy to hear. Thank you. Committee on Public Safety, Commissioner Barrio's out, and I don't have any notes from him that were urgent, unless, Matt, you saw something?
I didn't. The only thing maybe
Okay.
I'll report out quickly, and you were there too, Miguel, was a public safety walk that MPD hosted that covered some of the alleys, 9.5 Street, or as our more modern colleagues say, 9.5 Street, and the alleyway between 8th and 9th Street. And so we had a chance to kind of meet and greet with the MPD, have some conversations about issues that are going on in that general vicinity. And so it was a good way to, just kind of meet folks and to share with them some of the specific issues. So that's all I'd share.
Yeah. Thank you. Nice to have MPD and HIPS and business owners involved in that one. Okay. Sorry, ditto for transportation, parks, and public space. Commissioner Holden is out, and I'm not aware of anything urgent. On the agenda, it does say that they'll be considering. Oh shoot, remind me. 11th Street Bike Lane, Evermont Avenue Bike Lane. I think those were updates at the last meeting. I don't think that's something coming up. There was an NOI for Vermont Avenue. Do we have
Yep.
anything that we need to report urgently?
I don't think there was anything urgent. And I think we've got
Okay.
one or two TPPS resolutions on the agenda for later.
We do leftovers from last month. Wonderful. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Speaking of Nicole, we can turn to Councilmember's office for updates.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, high up. There we go. All right. Oh no, the clock is going. Okay. So I know you guys have David Money coming to your meeting, so I won't get too into some of the housing updates. But housing is a big focus in this final year of the council member's term on the council. Two of her bills just had a hearing in the housing committee. And that's the housing production omnibus and the bill on housing targets. And then the One Front Door Act, which allows for more and larger housing units to be built in small buildings by eliminating the requirement for a second staircase without sacrificing fire safety, was voted on unanimously at its first reading on March 30th and is expected to get a final reading on April 14th. The comprehensive plan is a very hot topic these days. The Office of Planning is working with residents, community organizations, businesses, elected officials to develop DC 2050, the district's next comp plan, a long-range vision and roadmap for growth and development in the city. The council member believes the comp plan should be a bold aspiration for how we want to see our city grow and how we support the communities within it. But unfortunately, the proposed update to the future land use map, or the FLUM, is rather underwhelming. Proposes some really meager changes to density that would stand in the way of development needed to address our shortage of affordable housing. So we really want to see more done here to make the city more livable and have more places where people can afford to live. So we've got a lot of questions for the Office of Planning. The council will have a lot of work to do on this, and you can add your comments to the draft future land use map at dc2050.dc.gov until April 30th. We are receiving the budget very shortly and encourage folks to come out and testify and share with us your views on what we need to focus on in this year's budget. We expect it's going to be another tight one, so please consider coming out and sharing your views with us. And what else do I have? I think I can stop there. Oh, the throne. We are continuing to get updates from DPW. They are still working through the review of all the various sites, working with the different agencies that are involved with the control of the different options. So I don't have too much more that I can share then as that work is ongoing, but we are getting updates from DPW as that work continues and they are actively working on it. So we're staying in touch. We'll continue to bring updates to this group as we learn more. Wow.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Questions? Commissioner Fay.
Yeah, question about the council members' priority for the comp plan. So we spend a lot of time, and you mentioned it as kind of an element of the priority. We spend a lot of time talking about density, right? Lot of conversation about density, build. There's a belief, I don't agree with the belief, which is okay, that the more we build, the lower the prices will be. But I do agree 100% with density and adding more housing stock. The thing that you mentioned that caught my attention, the thing that the Economic Development Committee has been spending a lot of time, is the idea of livability. And one of the concerns that we have is that as we look at U Street, we are seeing a reasonably dense area. We're seeing, frankly, a lot of opportunity to add density that is not being realized. But at the same time, we're also seeing a lot of empty storefronts. And one of the things that I think leads to livability is that you've got lots of density and you've got lots of activity. And that activity is often the intersection between the residential and the commercial spaces. And so I don't want that focus of livability and economic vitality to be lost in this conversation around density and affordability. What is the council member doing to champion that aspect of the future plan?
That's a great question. I'm gonna have to come back to you with some more detail on that. And I think definitely maybe something to talk about when David Menny joins you guys at the Economic Development Committee as well. But I think it's a great point and something I'll certainly share with the council member and get more detailed views on and come back to you guys.
Okay, that sounds good. And I might
Um,
reach out to David as well and just extend the
yeah.
invitation. So thanks.
Definitely. And I do think, we also really think that the building affordable housing across the city is really important, right? And so kind of looking at the entire city holistically and where there are opportunities is a really important part of this process. And I think a lot more to come. This is only just beginning.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for the question.
Are there questions? Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate the updates.
Thanks, everybody.
We can turn to Mokers next, and I believe we have Enrique tonight. Let me enable you. All right. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much. I take it that my camera is off as well, or no?
It's off. You should be able to turn it on yourself, though.
It's just that I'm on an iPad since I'm working two things at the same time, so I don't see it. All right, well, technical difficulties here. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, okay, that's unfortunate.
Oop.
Here, I'm just going to reset your time, though. I'm going to just vouch because I met Enrique in LaDroit Park last week. He is handsome and charming, and his blank screen does not do justice to him.
We trust that you're wearing your green polo shirt right now, Enrique. We know how it looks.
Well,
go ahead.
I do apologize. So just to give a few updates as well. So yes, that there is going back to the public safety meet that we had on T Street and with 3D. So just to address that, yes, we have seen a uptick within the last 6 weeks of that MPD has reported that there are increase in shootings as well. And then the concerns related to that, MPD will host more walks as the season gets warmer. So to address any concerns from the public, we encourage residents throughout the 1B area attend these walks as we go along. Commissioners, feel free to share any link that once you receive those, since we encourage feedback from the public. And then also as well, youth concerns as well, since spring break is tomorrow, is the last day for students. We to address any concerns as well, MPD will have a increased presence on hotspots, as there will be increase in officers on patrol, and are currently coordinating with DPR for extended youth programming to specifically during spring break. So to address that particular concern, that is what will be happening. And finally, to share regarding to the poll that was mentioned, just to circle back as well to our spring cleanup, if the council, if the commissioners will want to attend our spring cleanup, since we will have a large number of residents within Ward 1, that is an offer as well, so that you can have some input from the community, a large portion of the community. So that is something that Mokers will offer to the commissioners to engage with the public and receive feedback on their poll. I yield my time.
Thank you very much. Very congressional of you. I was trying to pull up my email about the spring cleanup. The date is 25.
Yes, April 25th. And I'm trying to find if I can show my screen. This is the problem with different platforms. I don't know on an iPad where to do these.
Well, I see here it's meeting at Banneker.
Yes, this will be at Banneker Rec Center on George Ave for those that are joining us. I see that chat is disabled, but if I can I can drop the link in the Q&A.
The Eventbrite link?
Yes.
I got it. I can go ahead and share it with folks.
Okay.
Yeah, so Al, take note. If we want to try to get some people to go and do the survey, that'd be great. It's running 10 to 1, Saturday, April 25th. I might be able to join you. My cousin's in town. We'll put her to work too. So we could do a little ANC delegation there. We'll talk about it.
Definitely.
Thank you for the tip, Enrique. And Karen, I think we can also toss that on the. Oh, it is on the calendar. 18 steps ahead. Cool. Thank you very much. Any questions for Mayor's office? Cool. Seeing none. District agencies. Don't believe we have anyone in the audience. Going once, going twice. All right. Any commissioner announcements? Any community announcements? Anyone is welcome to take the floor.
Oh, sorry. Can I give a quick commissioner
You may,
announcement? Yeah,
of course.
it's super basic. I just wanted to share with the commissioners that the YOLO protest hearing was held yesterday. It was, I think, a productive hearing. It went for about, I think, 4 hours. Stephen was there. I was there. Our attorney was there. So I just want to let folks know that that whole cycle that started back in the fall has finally kind of gone through its course, and we made our arguments in front of ABCA board and can expect a decision from them in the next 90 days.
Great job, Commissioner Fay and Carrie. It was I was at the edge of my seat for some of it.
I'm glad you attended, Stephen. Thank you for making time for that. We're going to nominate Carrie for some kind of award at the end of this term, you guys. I think the award's actually called Retainer. Cool. Speaking of which, we can go into some administrative materials. Treasurer Lemon Strauss, we've got to approve a memo doing something very technical that I've forgotten in the weeks since Director Bass emailed us. Can you explain it briefly? And I don't know if you can present it on your screen. If not, let me know and I'll run around and find
I'm not looking at my screen because I'm on my phone and
Sure,
sitting down.
I'll go find it.
If you're able to, so this is, we need the OANC to have the authority to file a bunch of the paperwork that we would otherwise need to file with the city. So this is stuff like, financial forms, the ability to transact directly with the OANC for things like payments. So it sort of makes them our agent to be able to handle a bunch of paperwork business, which they then handle for all ANC collectively without needing every single ANC to need to sort of set up their own connection to these DC systems. So this sort of allows them to handle all that for us, which is good for us because otherwise I guess it would be me, and I think we all know what would happen. I would fail miserably and then everything would break. So it is in our interest to allow OANC to handle it for us.
Right. So this is not, in fact, the memo itself, but we are, I assume, voting to authorize our treasurer to draft a memo that provides this information required by the CFO, which is our EIN, all our bank information, and authorization of the OANC as an agent for limited purposes. Is that correct?
That's correct. And they'd like it discussed at a public meeting. So
Okay.
I'm ready to engage in deep and prolonged discussion on this topic.
Okay. Duly noticed meeting having been convoked with a quorum. Does anyone have questions on authorizing the treasurer to submit the required information to enroll us in the DIFS and PASS systems at the CFO's office?
Yeah, maybe just one question, which I'm hoping is just helping to confirm why we're doing this. Aaron, this is not just a ANC 1B. This is something that OANC is offering to do, and I think suggesting that all of the commissions do.
Yeah, exactly. They do this for everyone, so it's like a bulk process, and then you don't need every single commission needing to go about it.
Yep.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the treasurer's request?
I move.
Authorize. Okay. Second. Wonderful. All those in favor, please raise whatever hand is available to you. That's 6, carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Status of EAF applications. Do we have an update?
I am running super behind on this, largely due to the amount of time that I spent on prepping for YOLO. But I will email the commissioners early next week there's my cat meowing at me. I will send you all an update via email with the status, just to kind of share where we're at. We've got 3 different requests that we approved. That for each one of them was requested at the $5,000 amount. That's a total of $15,000. We currently, have been, spending a fair amount of money with our attorney on these protests. I'm excited to see us wrapping up these protests. One of the things that I will share that I did share at the testimony yesterday, and Stephen Hanrahan, please keep me honest here because I ran it off of your tracker, is that we had a busy year. Stephen had a very busy year. There were 110 renewal licenses that were reviewed, 10 new applications, and 10 substantial changes, something along those lines. So it's a huge number of applications that were reviewed. And the commission at this point has only protested or taken 4 of those to protest. And so one of the reasons I shared that is to say that this is not our normal practice of taking something to a full protest hearing. We do a lot of hard work to try to resolve any kind of issues before it gets to a protest hearing. And the things that we are taking to a protest hearing tend to be things that are, really do need to have the board weigh in, because the issues are significant enough and immovable enough that we need some help. But I will email the group with update on that, and hopefully we'll have some positive news report out in the next week to 2 weeks.
And that can be used, I don't remember, either as to reimburse costs we've already incurred, only to reimburse costs we've already incurred. Can it be prospective because some of these are still ongoing protests?
Yeah. No, so the way that we've interpreted this is that we have requested funding for specific cases, and they can be used to advance fund or reimburse the legal expenses that we've incurred.
Okay, thank you. Question or comment from Stephen?
Yeah, I think that thanks Matt for all your hard work here on leveraging Carrie. I think this is a really big endeavor we're doing. But I think it's worth it, and I think hopefully we get some results soon, and the ABCUR guide will tie some of all the information we're learning, and we won't try to be all so unnecessarily complicated, Jamie, right? We'll try to be good to each other, and try to have good symbiosis between operators and community members. So I think it's a goal. And yeah, it looks like I'm checking our I'm active protest sheet now, and I'm like, oh, we actually got a couple great SAs here, so that's good to update. And it looks like Karen was here, so that is also great that she is working nonstop on the work as well. So thank you, Karen, too. Didn't mean to
Thank you.
but thanks.
No, yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I remembered that I did not put in the Eventbrite link in the chat, so I've just added it for the mayor's 10th annual spring cleanup. That's at Banneker on April 25th. Sorry to jump around topics there a little bit. Okay, next thing, alert. As we previewed in the past, we are about to post the job description for a new outreach consultant. This is very exciting. When that happens, we'll be asking commissioners also to pass that around on your individual newsletters and social media channels. And I do not believe we have executive officers' reports. Cool. On to new business. We have, oh, yes. Enrique, go ahead.
That job posting as well, can that be shared with Mokers as well? Since there are some people that, since you mentioned that, are interested in community outreach and advocacy. So if that's the request, please.
Absolutely happy to.
Thank you.
Karen, can I ask you to be my memory on that, please? When we put it on the website, let's remember to send it over to Mokers too. Thank you. Thank you for the suggestion. We appreciate your sharing that around. In new business, we have a couple items left over from last month as I previewed. We also have a couple changes to the agenda. One is that at the request of the applicant, we are postponing our consideration of the settlement agreement for Icon DC / 11 DC, which is at 2001 11th Street. And we are postponing the item from Commissioner Fay, the resolution urging council to create and support youth engagement programming. Excuse me, that one is still in the oven. So we'll have a fully baked one at a future meeting, and some interesting ideas are percolating up there. So I'm looking very much forward to that. That said, let's go to our cleanup from last month. There was a resolution out of TPPS, also sponsored by me and Commissioner Holden, requesting local partnership in park stewardship of Meridian Hill Malcolm X Park. I'm working on finding it to present, so sorry. There we go. Last month, you'll remember we were in person at the Josephine Butler Park Center, and our friends from Washington Parks and People / friends of Meridian Hill had drafted this in conjunction with the members of our TPBS committee. They are looking ahead. This is the 90th anniversary of the dedication of Malcolm X Park. TPPS and Friends of Meridian Hill are looking ahead to the next 10 years and imagining how we want to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the park and what we hope it looks like by then. So they requested that we kick off a resolution that they're also hoping other commissions will pass, honoring and recognizing, of course, the unique nature of Malcolm X Park, the fact that it is a village green, a backyard, a cultural and civic gathering space, notes the drum circles, performances, traditions of organizing and protest that have taken place at that park, and notes also that the federal government owns and operates the park, but does not, as a routine matter, adequately resource the park in terms of staffing, funding, community engagement, and partnership, in terms of what the park needs for programming, planning, and just general upkeep. As everyone here will know, there is currently a project in the park under the auspices of America 250 to repair the fountain and replace the turf and do some other improvements. A couple very old trees have come down because they were at risk of falling over. They had died, and of course, the trunks were hollow. So those have come down and they'll be replanted. We've made sure with new trees, which is what everybody's been looking for. But all of that, of course, is sort of a flash in the pan ad hoc funding just to do some sprucing up. And the concern of the community is that without sustained funding, the lawn will again look quite poor in a couple of years. And also, of course, without maintenance, the fountain will eventually stop working once again, necessitating another injection, perhaps at the 300th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, which is not what anybody really wants to see. So this resolution is urging that we explore other options. Something that's been in the ether for a couple of years now is a more broad spectrum coalition to manage the park that draws the federal government into partnership with the district government, as well as organizations like Friends of Meridian Hill, this ANC, philanthropies, other stakeholders. This is what's been done, for example, at Franklin Square downtown. We think it's an interesting model. It doesn't need to look exactly like Franklin Square, but some type of multi-party coalition to manage the park jointly is probably required just to maintain it and keep it accessible and special to all of us who love it. So this is once again with reference to the 100th anniversary coming up, and hoping that by then we'll have some kind of innovative structure like that to do the park justice. I have spoken on behalf of TPPS. I hope that I've done a good job. I don't think I see any committee members here, but if anybody wants to put a hand up and capture anything I might have missed at the committee level, happy to recognize someone. Otherwise, I'm happy to move the adoption of the resolution if there's a second. There's a second. Thank you. Questions, debate? Yes, sir.
So I like this. I think this is important. I think that when you look at the maps of Ward 1 and you think about where there is substantial green space, Meridian Hill Park is two things. One, it's one of the only big green spaces in Ward 1. It's also a very sizable green space, and so I think it's really important that the community that is here is able to participate in its preservation and its upkeep and its enhancement. I guess the only question I've got is that the resolution kind of request the therefore is a little bit broad. Do we want to be more precise? Do we want to say in the fashion of Franklin Square? Do we want to state that we want to have kind of a multi-group governing body? Do we want to talk about funding? Or do you envision that this resolution is something that would go to NPS to start the conversation around forming all of those details?
I think that's what the Friends of Meridian Hill are intending to do with it. I personally am a bit more interested in directing this at district agencies because they have to be willing counterparties, obviously. NPS is slowly getting there. I understand they're working toward an MOI with Friends of Meridian Hill on additional ways of joint management and upkeep. So there's some movement there. I don't know how willing district agencies are, DEMPED, DPR, to engage in this conversation. So I think this will be a nice way of starting it off. We could certainly add a whereas clause that just takes note of the precedent of Franklin Square. Glen Echo Park is another one. Maybe I could find another example that's a sort of multi-stakeholder management. I would be happy to add that in if we have to write it later, but the commission wanted to give me that editorial authority. We could certainly do it. Did that satisfy your curiosity?
Sorry, yeah. I mean, I was going either way. It was the kind of thing where you could say, "Look, I'm happy to do an amendment," or that you said, "Nope, this actually is sufficient for what we need to do to take the next step." So, if it's sufficient to do to take the next step, I'm good with that.
Yeah. I'm happy to add that whereas clause. If everyone's chill with having me write it later. I'm not going to formally amend it and try to hash it out right now. But let's violate Robert's rules. We'll call it a friendly amendment, and I'll toss it in after for the final version of the resolution.
Sounds good.
Anything else? Okay. All those in favor of the resolution as amended, please raise your hands, whichever one you like. We've got 6. It passes unanimously. Thank you guys very much.
And Chair, I apologize. I know we had taken Icon as a settlement agreement off of the table tonight at the request of the operator. We were able to negotiate coming into today a settlement agreement draft with Uproar, which is located in 1B02, but right on the border of 1B01. And so I have been working with them on that. I do see that their attorney, Matt Minora, is in the audience. And so out of respect for his time, if it's okay, I'd like to be able to talk through that here.
Absolutely. Always our practice to put business with guests first.
Okay. I have to send you a sharing request.
Oh.
So I have now made my request to share.
Karen, what do we do?
I said yes, so
Oh, okay.
you'll be able to do it.
Thanks, Karen. Give me 1 second, just because I've got. Yep, give me a second. I gotta. It's in PDF, which is like my least favorite thing to share because PDF for me obviously comes up in. Oh my God, I hate this. See if it's the right one. Yep, this is the right one. So give me 1 second. There we go. So let me just give a quick bit of background on this, and then Matt Minora, raise your hand so that they can give you speaking rights if you would like. This is a amendment. We have a settlement agreement already in place with Uproar, which is operated by Ching LLC. Uproar is a great establishment on Florida Avenue, just to the east of Georgia Avenue, 7th Street. There had been some concerns that we were trying to work through relative to sound. Stephen Hanrahan and I did one of our favorite things. We went clubbing and we listened to all sorts of music play at different levels. We walked around the neighborhood. We went to the places where there were concerns about the noise levels, and we checked out the operations and learned a lot about how Uproar operates. What we ultimately did, and we think this is one of our first settlement agreements that does this, is that we were able to establish what we think are appropriate decibel level targets based upon the walkthrough. I want to clarify that one of them we feel really good about based upon our walkthrough, and the second one we do still need to test. So I'm going to ask the commission to approve this and still give Commissioner Hanrahan the opportunity to work on a final number for one of these numbers with the establishment. The reason for that is the upfront area, which is uncovered normally, was covered during our walkthrough with their winter tent. And so we didn't get a chance to do kind of an absolutely accurate measure, but we think it's going to be really close. So what we did is we set some decibel targets. One is for the interior portion of the summer garden. One is for the exterior. This is the one that we still want your flexibility to update based upon a final check. And then we did kind of what we're calling just kind of a reasonability test, which is based off of the proposed Nightlife Noise Balance Amendment Act that is currently sitting with council without a particular timeline. But we took out kind of three big elements of their bill and talked about kind of their definition of amplified noise. We talked about kind of the ability to hear that in kind of the direction of residences, and specifically referencing the zoning, which is also referenced in the act. And so this gives us kind of two things. One is a target for the establishment to meet. And then the second is kind of that reasonability test that when you've got folks kind of standing on the curb in front of these residences, are you able to hear it? The other thing that we built into this, and this is at their urging, which I really appreciate, is maintain open communication with the community. And then finally, a very last minute element of just kind of parking management. Finally, we updated our PO box to the correct address now that we have given up our actual space. And so this is work that was done. I want to thank, in part because he's here, but I would say it anyway, Matt Minora, who's the attorney for Uproar, for keeping us on track. I was juggling a number of different things and was not moving on this as quickly as I needed to, and he helped to make sure that we were focused on it, and then that we were actively collaborating back and forth today, and him tracking down the feedback from his client so that we were able to get to the point that we're at today. So let me pause here, see if Matt wants to make a comment, which he does. So Matt, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, Commissioners. I just wanted to reiterate, I appreciate the efforts to get us here and for acknowledging my maybe aggressive nudges along the way. But I really do appreciate the efforts both in the beginning, taking the measurements and getting through some of the language here. Looks like we have something that's it's really agreeable to everyone. I appreciate you getting us here to the last minute of this. I just wanted to say one thing. I don't know if we could take it on the sound test, sure, but it may not be necessary because that language at the bottom really says that if you can hear it within 15 feet or feel it within 15 feet, whether the number is 90, 75, or 115, that sort of controls. I mean, just putting that just out there for what it's worth. But again, thanks glad we're here. You have the signed copy from Uproar. We're just waiting to find out details.
That sounds good. And Matt, I appreciate it. I legitimately appreciate it, even though at the 11th hour you were pushing harder, but that's because you needed to, and so I'm grateful. I think our read interpretation of the language is the same. I think the thought we had is that we wanted to make sure that we were setting targets that people felt were reasonable, so that as people were managing to targets, they said, "Yep, this is a target that we have, and we're focused on it, and we're managing to it." And so I think we're going to be able to wrap this up probably over the course of the next 2 to 3 days. As I might bring Commissioner Sycamore with me on this clubbing event, and we'll have a cocktail on the roof, measure some sound, and get it all done.
Sounds like a plan.
Cool. So with that one proviso of doing a final check with Commissioner Sycamore and myself, and Uproar, which will get finalized over the weekend, seeking the approval of this commission for the amendment to the settlement agreement. And I will.
And thanks. Moved and seconded. And that number might change. Is it the decibel number might change? That's the only thing that.
The decibel number might change. It is the only thing, and we do not anticipate that it is going to change by very much. It is really more of kind of a final comfort check just to make sure that everybody's all aligned.
Cool. Okay. Questions, debate, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Six, that's unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, let's go back to our clean. Thank you. Thanks for coming over, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Back to our cleanup from last month, we've got our final resolution that we did not pick up from TPPS, resolution requesting additional ADA parking spaces on neighborhood streets, which I will display. Does anyone here know more about this than I do? Okay, assuming not. No. Oh, Stephen.
I have a vague recollection that we passed a resolution for looking into expanding the RDPP program for multifamily housing. This actually might is this it? I think there's like a second part to it.
Let me take a crack.
Right.
Let me take a crack. So Karen Gall, who's a member of TPPS, I think has been the champion of two different resolutions. The resolution that was presented previously was, let me back up and say, if you own a home or you reside in a single family house as a renter, you are able to request from DDOT a dedicated ADA accessible parking spot. And they will, there's a whole process. We've gone through it in LaDroit Park a couple of times. If you live in a multifamily, you cannot make this same request. And so what was proposed in the first of the resolutions was to extend the same right that a homeowner or a renter in an individual single family home had to multifamily residents. And we voted in support of that. This is a resolution, and I've got some questions about it. So I'm kind of more just explaining what Commissioner Holden had said. This is now saying that if you have a dedicated spot in front of your single family home, or you have now a dedicated spot in front of your multifamily, if you are going to go someplace, there may not be available ADA accessible parking spots. And so this is a resolution that would propose to DDOT to evaluate the creation of unreserved kind of public accessible parking spots, so that an individual who is requiring a parking spot near or at their home is still able to park on the street. And if I think about my hometown of Keene, New Hampshire, where I just was a couple of weeks ago, which is very suburban. It's actually a small town, and you go to the grocery store or you go downtown. In the grocery store, the first 4 parking spots are always reserved as ADA spots. When you go to downtown, there are 2 spots kind of near major crosswalks with the ramps that are reserved. And so I think this is considering an urban version of that, what we may have been used to growing up with in big parking lots, and thinking about how do we create better accessibility in the city environment.
Oh, I'm already unmuted. Thank you. Thank you for picking it up there. Commissioner Sycamore, I see your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, quick question. You might not be able to answer this, but I can't remember if these parking spaces dismiss them from like street cleaning duties or anything, or if that exempts them from having to move their car from street cleaning on those days or not. Do you happen to know that offhand? Anyone?
I don't know the answer to that.
No.
There's typically street cleaning on the metered parking streets. It's more like the residential streets. But
this would include those.
Yeah. I was just wondering.
Yeah.
I know sometimes I think you can apply for it, but I don't know. I'm just wondering. All right, cheers. Thank you. Not a big deal. Thanks.
Karen has her hand up. Karen, give me a second. Let me navigate back over there to find you.
And while you're giving Karen permission to speak, Jamie, I believe that this is, and Karen can clarify, I believe that this resolution proposes for not just metered spots, but for metered and unmetered spots. So Karen, go ahead.
That's actually, I'm sorry, guys. I lost you off for probably about 5 minutes when Matt Faye started speaking, so please forgive me. But I do want to say that we have quite a few people in our ANC that has a need for disability parking, and often they have to wait 2 hours in order to find a parking spot. And as Matt and concluded earlier, the first resolution was to make sure that the discriminatory tactics of paying for RPP parking was not overly exploited with people who are living in multifamily units. And so you all passed that measure, which was remarkable. And so the second part is 1 in every 20 spaces, we do need to have a disability parking because we have a high proliferation of people in the area who have it from either whatever reasons that their doctor has prescribed that they need to have parking, and then it's just unacceptable to see people walking blocks and blocks and blocks when they're unable to do it, whether they're our seniors, whether they're people who have long-term disabilities hidden or otherwise. And this measure is really a beautifully drafted and also supported by our entire committee. And I am certainly looking forward to you all reading through it if you haven't already, but also supporting it this evening. Did I fill in all the gaps? And if you all have any questions, I'm very happy to answer them.
I have another quick question. Has this been run by anyone at ODR?
Yes. Well, there's been several sections of this that we've worked with the multi-mobility people in various places to ensure that it's congruent with what is needed in the city. And DDOT, it's just a matter of having DDOT place the proper signage where necessary, and also, as you mentioned, for a metered and unmetered parking.
Okay, and they provide any feedback for that or no?
We did not get substantive feedback that we would like, but we've done all of the groundwork that's necessary for this particular resolution.
Okay, cheers. Thank you.
Chairperson, could you pull the resolution up? I actually had a specific question for Karen that I was curious to see. And Karen, here's the question. There's kind of 2 different standards that are referenced in the resolution, and I'm curious. It's right there, actually. You're right at it. There are 2 different standards. So that ANC 1B recommends DDOT guidelines, and we highlight we want it to be consistent with the recent public right-of-way accessibility guidelines. And then we also say 20 spaces or 4%. Whichever is greater. To me, that's kind of like 2 different standards. How do those 2 standards relate to one another?
20 spaces, 1 in 20 spaces, because it's just the way that the way they measure parking spaces. DDOT measure, is their measurement guidelines. I can tell you that part. But 1 in 20 spaces, it's just the way that DDOT does their signage, and I think that that's really in line with that. And I could do some more homework for you for that question if you wouldn't mind me sort of having that tabled, and I'll get you the feedback on that.
That might be good. Because I think the question I had was if you think about those, and I'm sorry, the abbreviation looks like it's ProWAG, but if you
It
think
is
about
actually ProWag,
okay.
believe it or not. It's and you know you can get Commissioner Matt our committee, our chair for our committee. That's his favorite language, so he would certainly be happy to expound on that for you. It was a group effort. We worked together.
I think ProWag is the fingerprint of Jay Swiderski's influence on
Yeah,
this resolution.
you're correct. Jay does. I told you it was a group effort. We definitely all make sure we poured into this.
Nice. And this has been bouncing around committee since the fall. I think you guys have done a ton of work, so I really appreciate that.
Definitely. And I think it really makes a really good footprint for ANC 1B being the forerunners for doing something so proactive in the city. Because I always tell people that 1B is the stewards of how ANC should work. And so I'm really proud of this.
We'll take it. And Karen, if we pass this, and same for you, Commissioner Sycamore, if you think there are places that we need to submit it, other than like this will go to DDOT and we'll put it in the resolution portal and tag it for DDOT. But if ODR needs to see it, whatever, make sure you stay on top of us about sharing it with the proper offices.
Oh, most definitely. And
Hey,
you know
Karen?
it's going to be all in the mayor's office for sure.
Hey, Ms. Gall, I have one more quick question for you. When it says 20 places of parking, is it 20 places of parking on one side of a block, or is it in total of the entire block? Like say
Okay.
10 and 10.
Okay, so you count for every 20 spaces you take one. Every 20 spaces on wherever you need to at least have one ADA space.
So it includes both sides of the street, so both sides of the street, one entire block. If there's 10 cars there, and then the next block is 10 cars, not just one side of the road, right?
Well, it would be evenly placed because we have to move street parking. I mean, street cleaning. So you want to make sure that you are fair when the street cleaning has to take place, that you have the appropriate spots during that time period too. So it's fairly it's evened out based on what the offering is. We've lost a tremendous amount of spaces in general, but it's just based on whatever is available. So it's not taking up anything. So if you have 20 spaces and you're just giving one space to someone who needs it tremendously, who has been waiting for 2 hours, 3 hours for parking, or walking over 6 blocks for parking, I don't think I need to pitch it any further, do I, guys?
No, you're good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, without further ado, those in favor of adopting the resolution, please raise.
Did we officially
did somebody move it? Did somebody move it?
I'm not sure if we moved in.
Sorry, nobody moved it for Commissioner Holden. Sorry, the ghost of Holden. Somebody move it, please. I shouldn't be doing it as chair.
I move the resolution. Move that we support the resolution.
Thank you very much.
Second.
Second, thank you very much. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hands. And we've got 6. It's unanimous. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Thank you for the engaged questions.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Karen, for chiming in. Appreciate it. We can go into Commissioner Hanrahan territory. And we've got, I believe, just 2 motions up from committee. Take it away.
Welcome, everybody. Yes, we have 2 motions for a license protest, as we do tonight. These are motions that the committee passed actually unanimously. It was 5 votes. The first one is for a business, the Spicy Water business. Their license came up for renewal recently, but this license is being placarded for a substantial change from a Class C to a Class D, which allows them to sell spirits and alcohol. Um, Spicy Water is a really great little takeout place on 11th Street. I highly recommend them. I believe some of the impetus for wanting to protest was to try and just get a settlement agreement. I admittedly could do a little bit more work, could have done a little more legwork in trying to call the owner. However, I think this is something that, we can work out in the ways coming to the mediation part of the process. I think a settlement agreement might be good for this area, especially with kind of the bike lane project coming. Some of that to go ordering. Making sure the parking is in line, as well as making sure potential trash items are there. And I think we kind of have a policy of trying to get settlement agreements for substantial changes uh, before a committee. So I would like to motion to that we do protest this license on the ground of peace, order, and quiet, and hope that I believe it's something that we should resolve very quickly in a settlement agreement. But motion that we protest on the grounds of peace, order, and quiet, and all applicable grounds.
And sorry to clarify, this is Spicy Water.
This is spicy water. African grow.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Okay. You said you hadn't been able to make contact yet?
I believe actually the owner was able to attend our committee meeting, but their microphone wasn't able to work at that time. So I think it's just something we need to just call them on the phone again and try to discuss.
Okay. Commissioner Harris?
What type of license are they trying to obtain?
They've got a D
Um,
now?
yeah, there's a substantial change from a C to a D.
Wait, so are they seeking any sort of entertainment endorsement? Like, is this literally just they want to sell alcohol?
Yeah, they just want to sell liquor.
D to
Yeah,
C.
but I don't see a need to like one, we can't protest because we want a settlement agreement. Like that's not valid grounds. Two, like it's a small establishment and like it just doesn't make sense to me. Like they have pretty standard operating hours. I'm looking at the placard now. But I'm not in support of this. Spicy Water is a good restaurant. I'm sure if you ask them, like their emails on here on the placard, or if you were to show up there, I'm sure like they would talk about that, but there's no entertainment. Like they're literally just selling alcohol like a normal restaurant. I'm not in favor of a protest here.
Was there anything special that the committee flagged?
The committee has expressed a desire to try and gain settlement agreements when possible with establishments. This is, something we're still working out and discussing. The best ways to do so. Often requires a little bit of legwork and, the timing and et cetera. Um, I believe that is like
Yeah.
largely the
What's the
the
seating at Spicy Water? It must be,
I don't even know if they even have seating.
Small.
Oh, it
I hope they do.
doesn't say on the substantial change here.
Very small.
yeah, it is small. Yeah, Commissioner Sycamore.
Oh, I'm already unmuted. Sorry. Um, no, I'm for once, Commissioner Harris and I are in complete agreement on this. I'm exactly in the same boat, and she stole all my thunder. So, good job, Commissioner Harris. Thank you.
Every time Commissioner Harris and Commissioner Sycamore agree, Commissioner Sycamore says it's for once. But actually, at this point, it's for the
I guess it
end.
does happen more often. Yeah.
It's for the end. Okay. Yeah, Commissioner Fay, go ahead.
A couple quick questions. One is this the Spicy Water that's on like the east side of like the 2000 block of 11th Street.
Yep.
Okay.
That's correct.
And it does have indoor seating, and it is a relatively small place. I've met the owner when Rice and I were out doing some of the walking around for
Mm-hmm.
meet and greet with U Street Roundtable. And I mean, I don't ever like to make decisions about protesting based upon the personality of the individual, but the whole operation struck me as a very good operation. Is there any kind of outdoor endorsement that people were concerned about where the operating hours were running until a very late hour?
They don't even have an endorsement for like a sidewalk cafe. It's literally all, there's no endorsements. It's literally they're just seeking to sell alcohol.
Yeah. And then finally, do we have a settlement agreement? Or is that one of the reasons that the committee said they wanted to protest is
No,
because there was no
there's
settlement
no
agreement?
settlement agreement because they weren't selling alcohol before.
Okay.
But we should never protest an establishment to seek a settlement agreement.
Yeah. And
They were
and we
selling beer and wine before.
They were selling beer and wine before. That's correct. This would now grant them the ability to sell
liquor.
spirits.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have precedents where we've got folks who have no issues, no violations, no history, and no settlement agreement, and we've said let them keep going. So okay, I mean,
Yep.
I'll vote when we go to vote.
Okay, that sounds fine to me. Anything else? Questions? Debate?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to, do the due diligence of the chair work and bringing forward what the committee has described. But I feel, torn as
Stephen, we love
well.
you regardless of how we vote.
That's good. That's good to know. Validation. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor of the protest of spicy water, please raise whatever hand is available to you. I see none. All those opposed, please raise a hand. 2, 3, 4. We've got 5, and any wishing to note an abstention. 1. All
Don't vote
right.
against committee.
That's 0, 5, 1. And the motion fails. Thank you very much. You can go right on to service bar, please.
Thank you. So the next license that we had placarded was for Service Bar for a streetery endorsement. Again, they had a renewal come up. They do have a settlement agreement. Um, I believe and this is the third streetery endorsement that we have had come before us. We had 2, I think maybe the last meeting or maybe the meeting before, for Madon and for
The Royal.
the Royal. The Royal, the commission chose to not protest both of those. Madonna had a settlement agreement, and the Royal didn't, but both considered to be very or good operators in their merits. Those are more of restaurants though, so I think there was a little bit more of a sense that the service bar is more of a bar, and that the alcohol will be served till 3 a.m. In the street. So it became a little bit of a sense of the ungovernedness or the newness of the streetery endorsement in terms of should we kind of view it as something more of like a summer garden, sidewalk cafe where we want to have hours be typically less than what is indoors for noise. At the same time, it's on U Street, which is very noisy already, and they are a good operator with a good track record. There hasn't been any substantial investigative history or any major noise complaints or any complaints raised against the business or against specifically against the streetery, except for the fact that maybe it makes the street a little crowded. But I think we've also heard at the committee that this is a hard time for operators, that streeteries, we're losing so many streeteries already to the changes in the regulation. And we did not protest the other 2. So I think that is something to weigh here in terms of fairness. But I will do diligence and say, the motion was to protest. So I would move to protest uh, the placard for peace, order, quiet, and all applicable grounds.
Can you?
Is there a second?
Oh, sorry. I'll second, and then can I have a question? I have a question.
Sure. Yep. Go ahead.
Stephen, sorry, I don't have enough. Can you give me like one or two more lines on what the concern is behind, like what the downside is that's aiming for the protest?
What the downside is for the reason for protest?
Yeah.
I think the reason was brought was that this streetery is more functioning more like a bar than the other streeteries, which are more like extensions of their restaurant. And so because their restaurant hours end at 10 or 11, that is more in line with kind of what like typically um, we seems like is done for sidewalk cafes and for summer gardens, or summer garden a little less so, but for sidewalk cafes, it is a little bit try to end those by before midnight. So
I
I
see.
think I think that
So
was
they'd
kind of
be
the
able
concern.
to. So this right, the streetery would be under bar opening hours and could be serving alcohol into the late night, just sort of out in the essentially in the open, although enclosed. But yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At the same time, they have been operating. This is a new like this streetery has been there for 5, 6 years now. So yeah.
We've got thoughts, Commissioner Harris.
Why was there talk of considering this summer garden when there are clear qualifications of what a summer garden is and what a streetery, well, I don't know if there's clear qualifications of streetery, but like there are clear like ABCA has like you have to get actual endorsements for either of those things. So why was there talk with the committee that this was a summer garden when it's not? They're seeking a streetery. Is it because they have a separate summer garden?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I misspoke. I think Sidewalk Cafe is probably more like a comparison than Summer Garden. I just think it was kind of like the sense of like the newness of like the streetery and that
Well, it
there
is
was
a streetery endorsement. I'm looking at the placard right here. So it's also not considered a sidewalk cafe because ABCA also has a separate distinction for that.
Mhm.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear. So we are considering the streetery, and that is what the streetery endorsement, and that is what the committee reviewed, correct?
Oh yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so there shouldn't be any blurred lines here.
The placard has hours for streetery hours inside and hours for summer garden.
It says the nature of the substantial change is for the streetery. So the other things I think we've already considered, I think they just have it listed on there. I don't think it's a part of the substantial change.
Right. But they don't have a separate summer garden.
Do
So
they?
that, I don't think so. It's just the streetery and the main bar as far
Or
as I
maybe
know.
they have a little speakeasy like in the back. There's like a door in the back
Yeah.
that goes somewhere or something.
Like that might be
Oh,
their summer garden space. Like, because it would not, there are like clear distinctions. Like, it wouldn't be, they even have like proposed hours for their streetery underneath the like inside premises on the placard. So it's not that APCA's like grouping it.
yeah. Okay. Is there a hand? I think there's a hand. Commissioner Fay.
Yeah, thanks. Commissioner Henry, a couple really quick questions. First off, the proposed operating hours is until the 2 a.m., 3 a.m. on the streetery.
That's correct.
Is there any kind of entertainment endorsement that would be on the streetery?
Not on the streetery itself.
Have there been any noise complaints from the neighbors?
Not that we heard of.
Do we have a settlement agreement in place with them otherwise?
We do.
Do we need to amend a settlement agreement to include the inclusion of streetery, or is that already included as a part of their prior streetery, prior settlement agreement?
It's not included in the settlement agreement, but we didn't amend the ones for Madan um, there.
Okay.
Well, Medan is different though too. Like Medan is like in like an alley. That's where service bar is like out in the open.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, all three of them are different, right? Royal's in the middle of a residential, but they also close at like 10 or 11 and they have no music other than like ambient. Um, and Maidan's kind of unique. And then this one's on a, but this one's also on a very busy intersection, Vermont and U. And I think it's surrounded almost entirely by kind of other commercial establishments. And then the Fold is right there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have any kind of the only thing that I guess catches my attention is whether we would want to have any kind of sound limitations if they're going to go until 3 o'clock. But otherwise, the same. I'd want to do that quickly because I also would like to get out of the way and let them build their streetery, and because that's a big part of their seating right now, and they're going into their summer months.
Mm-hmm. Do
Yeah.
we expect a change in their operations from the old streetery to the new? Like, are they gonna? I don't know if they're gonna add
It's a good point.
big speakers. I mean, I'm assuming not because not really the vibe. But
Yeah, it does say live entertainment for indoor only, for inside premises. So it doesn't say anything about entertainment outside there specifically, but I guess that means they could still have some amplified sound. Um, but yeah, I
the
mean,
owners didn't come to the committee, I'm assuming.
I don't believe so. No. Did reach out to them. Um, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's kind of a thing of, I wish it was a little bit easy, it seems like what we would like to do here is not something, a little fine tuning, but I think it sometimes the work involved in the fine tuning ends up being more than I don't want to stop their operation. I think I feel bad for streeteries overall because I think the streeteries have really lost a lot recently. Um, and small businesses like this, and especially having like a good track record. But I think there is a sense that there's some tuning that, fine tuning would be great to have too. So, yeah, feel a little
Yeah,
torn, but
sure.
so
Right. But in this case, we have no specific concerns that have been articulated about the way they've operated or what they're proposing to do.
no.
And
Okay.
would we feel good about like just showing up at their doorstep and asking if they would agree to a voluntary amendment that just put some basic limitations on sound on the streetery, um,
So
and just
I've
kind of seek confirmation that they're going to continue to operate the new streetery the way they were operating the old streetery?
I mean, I've worked with Chad before in the past, and he's been
Oh,
nothing but amenable. He's been a really great neighbor. He's always done the right thing. He's a really, really great guy. So I don't see any reason why he wouldn't want to comply and wouldn't want to make the neighborhood and make us as happy as possible. He's really a fantastic owner.
so Commissioner Sycamore, you and I have a cocktail date this weekend at Uproar, and you've got a cocktail date with Commissioner Hanrahan at Service Bar then.
Sounds good. See you
Don't
out at the
spend it all in one
streetery.
place.
With all
Okay.
our big money we make as commissioners.
Right. Got to cash out your free bike share membership. Okay. I think we're ready to vote. Unless there's an objection, seeing none. All those in favor of sustaining the protest? All those in favor of the protest of streetery endorsement for Service Bar, please raise your hands. All those opposed, please raise your hands. We've got 5 opposed and any wishing to note their abstention, 1. All right, 051. The motion fails. Thank you very much. Final item on the agenda for today is Commissioner Fay's resolution supporting the extension of the Juvenile Curfew Authority. Are you able to share?
I am. Let me, before I share, just kind of take folks through the quick background. I think you've all been tracking this. There was a bill that was passed in October of 25 that amended the original juvenile youth curfew. I'll take you through those changes in a moment. Commissioner Barrio and I both testified, and Commissioner Trindade Geromo may have as well. But I know Commissioner Barrio and I testified in support of it. Both of us stated in our testimony that it was a inadequate fix to a much bigger problem, but that we supported taking care of the immediate issues so that we could create space for council and the mayor's office to begin addressing the larger issue, which is engaging our youth, creating youth activities, opportunities, and here we are, kind of 6 months later, with that legislation and that extension expired. Council member Pinto put before council the Tuesday after our COW meeting an updated proposal to extend those juvenile curfew kind of, I guess, abilities. And after discussion, council postponed their discussion and ultimate vote until the 21st of April. At our COW meeting, it didn't make sense to put this on the table because we would vote on it after council had already voted. But with the delay, I wanted to put it forward to this group for us to be able to consider. One of the big reasons that I wanted to put it forward is that when MPD puts in place these juvenile curfews, they typically identify U Street as one of the areas that they are establishing the curfew. They're typically establishing them because they have intelligence that there is a youth takeover event that is planned. And so what they are trying to do is to prevent hundreds of juveniles from gathering together in an area where they, may get harmed themselves, where there could be harm done to the area. And so it's kind of an effort to try to protect the youth and to protect the businesses and to protect residents. I'm going to pull up the resolution here. And as I do that, I want to maybe reiterate the fact that I think it is a incomplete solution. And so, give me a second. And so I have coupled this. It was originally intended to be two different resolutions, and I'm going to talk about that here just in a moment. Juvenile curfew, share. Blow this up very quickly. The original act in 2025 allows or authorizes the mayor to extend the juvenile curfew hours. When appropriate, authorizes the chief of police to establish extended juvenile curfew hour zones. In specific circumstances, it starts the juvenile curfew at 11 p.m. as opposed to later, and it also extends the applicability to 17-year-olds. So that's kind of the crux of it. That's what kind of got amended in 2025. The thing that I want to, maybe kind of pause on for a moment, in addition to just kind of the timeline and the things that I've shared, is that I want to highlight here that we recognize the importance of public safety on the U Street corridor. This is our area to be paying attention to and advocating for, but that we also acknowledge that this is only a Band-Aid fix of the larger issues of youth engagement, or really lack thereof, and support, which requires council and mayoral attention. And so part of what I'm wanting to call out here is that we want to give the MPD a tool that the MPD has said they think is useful and that they need to be able to use when it's appropriate. But I am not in any way advocating. I would not want for our commission to be advocating for this to be a permanent thing. I want it to be a temporary thing that gets us through the summer months when these takeover events tend to happen most often and where there is the greatest risk to public safety. But that I also want to strongly advocate, and we'll talk more in a moment about the second resolution that we'll be working on to put in front of this group in May. I want us to also be advocating during this time for council and the executive office of the mayor to be taking the steps that really only they can take to engage district agencies, to allocate district resources, to be able to effectively engage our youth and to give them, opportunities, activities, places of their own expression so that the takeover events are far less attractive. Commissioner Barrio has been spending some time on things like that, as he and the Public Safety Committee have been talking about different ways that Banneker can be used. But again, no fault of Commissioner Barrio's, those types of things take time and they've not taken off. And so this is meant to be more of a bridge strategy as opposed to a permanent strategy. What I'm asking for us to state is that we resolve to support the council's passage of the Juvenile Curfew Amendment Act of 2026. I understand from Councilmember Pinto's office that there will be two options put on the table. One would be a permanent, and the second would be an emergency. The emergency would be a shorter term, like a 6-month extension, as opposed to a permanent change to the law. I wanted to clarify our position, which is that it is only extended for 6 more months. And specifically to allow for council and the executive office of the mayor to develop more permanent solutions to the issues of youth engagement in the district. And then finally, I wanted us to state, and this is one of the reasons for the delay in kind of putting the second resolution together, that these efforts to develop solutions center the voices of current youths in the District of Columbia. And to kind of give a preview of May, Karen and I can't tell if we were texting or emailing, but she said, I want to engage my students in discussions around these engagements. And I did not want to put a resolution in front of this group that had not gotten input from the youth of DC. And so what we're going to do over the course of the next month, working with Commissioner Trindade Duramo, with Karen, with others, is to put together what we hope will be a very powerful ask of council and the mayor to really invest in engaging our youth. But through this process of creating a resolution, we want to directly engage the youth to get their thoughts and their feedback and their input. So on one hand, I know what I'm putting forward is a little bit contradictory, right? I'm saying it's not the right solution for the long term. But at the same time, in talking with local businesses, in talking with MPD, they are nervous about not having this tool at their disposal as we go into the summer, given the number of takeover events that have been promoted and have been, identified over kind of recent months. And so they are looking for ways to safeguard the community, including the youth of the community. So I want to pause and I want to get questions and comments. I guess I can move it, second it, and then we can have discussion. So I move that the commission pass the resolution as drafted and presented to the commission to support a short-term 6-month extension of the juvenile curfew.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. We can head into discussion. Commissioner Harris.
So quickly here, Commissioner Fay, with what you just said. So you put together this resolution before talking to any like young person?
Yeah, so let me kind of answer that two ways. The first is that the young people that I wanted to engage was around the youth engagement resolution. So I had proposed originally 2 resolutions. One was focused, which is this one, time sensitive, on supporting the extension of the juvenile curfew. The second resolution is a challenge to council and the mayor to meaningfully engage the youth of DC in engaging them and creating opportunities and places and spaces for them, so that we are investing in the youth of DC. When I did testify back in October, I went in person, and there were a lot of parents and grandparents and kids who were there testifying in support of the curfew. And I know that there are people also testifying against the curfew, right? So I know that this is not a universal sort of topic with that everyone's aligned in support of. And so I wrote
I guess
this.
my question though is that we didn't talk to any young people about this resolution. It just it's really just like yes or no.
We did not talk to any youth about this resolution that you have in front of you.
Okay.
I did talk with MPD. I did talk to business owners. I did talk to adult residents.
Yeah, I mean, but this is impacting young people,
It is.
anyone. Okay, my other question, so just can you help me here? The it's changing from, I guess, 16-year-olds to 17-year-olds?
I
Or
think it's
raising the age or no?
the bill doesn't change from what was passed in 2025.
Okay.
And so my understanding is that it extended up to 17. Yeah. Whereas before I think
Was that
17 was
always
excluded.
the bill before that it was extended up to 17, or they just recently?
Yeah, the
They called that out,
1995.
and so I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Yeah, no, the 2025 legislation added 17. The original 1995 did not.
Okay.
Commissioner Sycamore.
Commissioner Sycamore.
Yeah, I'm looking at some results here from past curfews and things of that nature. It seems to have some mixed results, but overall fairly effective. Um, I'm wondering, what did you have you talked to anyone from MPD about what their solutions are? Would they like something more permanent? Do they want something temporary? What is their thoughts on this?
So I did talk with MPD, and I'm going to pull up here something I'm going to just read really quickly to the group as well. But I think, give me one second as I'm just pulling this up. So to the question of permanence, my take from the MPD is that they're not advocating for a permanent solution. I think what they have communicated is that they are paying close attention to real-time intelligence as it's coming in. Before probably last year, they weren't seeing a lot of youth takeover events promoted. They weren't seeing big gatherings. They weren't seeing damage to public property. They weren't seeing, risk to safety. And so this is something that emerged relatively quickly, and something that they looked at and said the tools that we have right now are insufficient. Their kind of position, as I've heard it, is that while we continue to have these risks, we still need to have some tools. But their position also is that these issues are much bigger than MPD issues, right? These are, MPD is having to respond, but they're not MPD issues. And so what they are also hoping for is a bigger solution and a bigger response, because they don't want to have to put curfews up as well. The thing that I'll read really quickly that I got this afternoon is the firm belief that the curfew also protects the youth themselves, not just the public safety of residents and visitors. When they pick up youth up for a curfew violation, they are not getting arrested. Right? They're very clear about this. That when there is a youth that is picked up for a curfew violation, there is no arrest. There is no arrest record. And they've actually talked a lot about work that they have done when they pick somebody up and they bring them back to the precinct. Very importantly, they're never put in a cell, but they are going back and they're calling a family member and making sure that they are getting them home to their home. That's what they focus on. And then the last thing that they wanted to share is that all that these folks have to do to comply with the curfew is to either kind of disperse into smaller groups or leave the area. And so the way that the curfew law is written is that you can't have a group of people larger than, and I apologize, I should know the total number, but I think it's like 6 or 7. You can't have more than that together.
9.
But 9. But if you break up into a smaller group than 9, then there's no violation of the curfew. And so really, the focus is around keeping large groups of like 25, 50, 75 people from forming into a group of, essentially energy that then starts to lose some control and can, hurt people. Mostly hurting people that are in that group of 50 to 75.
I mean, 9 versus 25 sometimes just doesn't make a difference. A lot of that, but interesting.
Yeah.
I might have a follow-up. Thank you.
Of course.
Sure. Commissioner Lemon Strauss.
Thanks. So I don't really know. I don't really know the data or have much background on this. So maybe Matt, you can help me with it. My instinct is like creating more mechanisms for police to interact with young people. I hear you on it's not an arrest, but I don't know. I just sort of this like gut feeling of like, ooh, I'm not sure I want like a sort of enforcement based interaction between sort of armed officers and young people from our community, and to be supporting that. I totally hear the concern, and I totally hear you that you're not saying this is a good solution, but that you need some solution to a problem. My instinct is it sort of tips over into being too much a risk of doing harm without sort of evidence that it's effective or that there aren't other options. So is there like, do we have evidence that curfews work or that, you know,
Yeah. So
yeah, anything that would help me sort of feel better about it?
yeah, no, I mean, let me kind of respond to the kind of the trade-off that you just talked about, because I think it's the right trade-off. So what the MPD has described to me in conversations is that they're paying attention to the promotion and organization of these youth takeover events. They don't happen every weekend. They don't happen all the time. But what happens is that occasionally there will be a weekend where they get wind of a organization where people say, we're taking over U Street. And when that happens, what the police will do is they will establish a temporary juvenile curfew zone. And they will kind of do what the promoters are doing, which is they will promote the fact that it's a juvenile curfew zone. And what they have found is that by and large, when there is a big event that is promoted and they then kind of counter advertise that it's a juvenile curfew zone, what it does is it takes a lot of the energy out of the takeover event, and it actually prevents the takeover event from happening. And so instead of being a situation where the juvenile curfew zone pits young people against police, what it's doing is it's keeping the young people out of the curfew zone so that that group of, that large group of folks is never forming in the first place. And I think that kind of the goal is exactly kind of what you're talking about, and that is to prevent the interaction of police with large groups of youth. And what they're finding is that the curfew is a preventative measure, as opposed to kind of a disciplinary measure. They find that they're able to keep people away. And so the groups of youth that they're having to disperse or potentially pick up in violation tend to be relatively small groups. The thing that I worry about, the thing that I think, I'm just saying they've not said this directly, the thing I think the MPD is worried about is what happens when you've got 100 people on U Street at a takeover event, and now you're kind of having to really grapple with what how do you manage that, right? How do you kind of navigate that kind of interaction? So again, it's really meant to be more of a preventative as opposed to an excuse to engage. It's meant to kind of prevent engagement to begin with.
Gotcha. Thanks. So that would great. Gotcha. Thanks. It's helpful.
Let's go to Commissioner Harris. We can do another round after that.
I appreciate that. I think I appreciate you talking to MPD, Commissioner Fay. I think based on what you're saying, though, it doesn't seem like they've collected much data to show that it's actually like working. It just seems like they're going off of vibes, and like that doesn't seem very effective. I think at a baseline, I can't support letting council and the mayor continue to be lazy and not form solid long-term solutions. So just at a bare minimum, I don't support this. And then from just a data standpoint, there's a lot of data that shows that curfews don't work. And personally, I don't ever support enforcement from cops with young people. So that is going to be where I stand tonight. I appreciate your work on this. I just need to see hard evidence that something like this works.
Yeah, and don't blame the MPD for lack of data, right? Blame me, because I did not reach out to
No, I'm
them.
not blaming you. I'm happy to blame MPD all day.
No, that blame me, don't blame the MPD. If I believe that they do have data, and I did not have the time and the resources to go out and ask for that. And I'm sure that that's something that the council members will be talking about. I'm sure the council member Pinto will have done much more preparation for her presentation than I was able to do for mine.
There's an issue beyond data collection, though. There's a definitional issue that always comes up, but I'm not sure it's ever explicitly addressed, which is that MPD considers it a success when no young people come in large numbers to U Street, for example. And U Street, we consider that a success. We and U Street, in a sense, right? In the business community, it's, there's no disruption to normal operations. But often it just means that the youth have gone to Navy Yard. And nobody likes to see the videos that come out of Navy Yard almost every weekend, right? When the police are kind of running around and there are young people running around and scooters and all of this kind of stuff. So, that to me at a systemic level can't be defined as a success, right? We just moved an issue from Ward 1 to Ward 8, and that's not a success to me. So, that's a definitional issue that we're not addressing. MPD will say that this policy has been successful, but I think, from the perspective I just articulated, it has not been. And I do think Commissioner Harris hit the nail on the head by saying this extension feels like, and I've talked about this plenty with Commissioner Fay directly, an extension without teeth feels like we're giving them a pass to not come up with systemic solutions, which they haven't done since the curfew was enacted. As far as I'm aware, I don't know what is materially different today than the day before the curfew authority came into effect. And this was always billed as a band-aid, and it was always billed as a temporary measure to allow the council and executive agencies time to figure out what to do with young people. And this, I have seen no evidence that no one has an idea of what to do with young people. So, to me, this resolution, and I said this to you earlier, Commissioner Fay, in absence of the other one that we hope is forthcoming, to me is a bit of a pass to our policymakers, and not in the way that I think applies enough, not in the way that expresses enough disappointment, and not in the way that applies enough sense of accountability for sort of the implicit promise of the Band-Aid. So I certainly agree with Commissioner Harris on that one. Can I turn to Commissioner Sycamore again?
Yeah, let me just comment
sure,
quickly on that. Yeah, and I want to acknowledge and appreciate, right? I was very specific in choosing the language Band-Aid. I was very explicit in my opening remarks about this being an incomplete solution. I have read countless articles about truancy rates having gotten worse and worse, and those truancy rates started well before COVID. We have had council members in office for 4 terms, 3 terms. We have had a mayor in office for 3 terms. We have had a lot of people in position who are much more powerful than we are in our roles here. We are, as I say to almost everybody, the absolute lowest rung of elected official in the District of Columbia. And it saddens me, right, that this group is having to grapple with the idea of the safety of youth and the tools that our MPD have, because for 3 terms, a number of different elected officials have passed the buck, not held agencies accountable for performance, not done the hard work. I'm with you 100% on that. I don't think, for my own 2 cents, that passing a resolution that creates a tool for 6 months is going to create any impetus for change at the council level or at the mayoral level, because half of these folks are on the way out the door. And so to some extent, what I'm trying to do is buy time. And to some extent, I'm trying to buy time until we have new leadership that is sitting in seat in January, and the hope that a lowly organization like ours can craft something that sends a strong message to new council, and new mayor that these are priorities. And I really want to have the voice of our youth, not just involved in the drafting of these ideas. I want them to be advocates. And Karen, I'm going to work with you to get people to go to the Wilson Building on January 4th. But I want them to be active advocates in advocating for their future, because right now there's a lot of folks that don't seem to be advocating on their behalf. So this is short term. This is about trying to buy a little bit of time. And the decision that folks are going to have to make here is whether you think it's a tool that will do any good or not. But I don't think that we're going to get really any kind of fundamental change in policy until we get new council and new mayor in seat in next January.
That's a fair read, and I'll just add one more note that I'm glad that the Public Safety Committee, they've been talking about this sort of on and off for a few months, and I saw that last month in March, they had the incoming student council president from Cardozo in to talk about some of these issues, which I think was our first formal engagement with local youth about it, and certainly an interesting, I hope, just start to a longer engagement. One thing that she mentioned a couple of times, I think, was that lots of people she talks to, her peers, don't seem aware of rec centers. It's kind of like the first thing that so many policymakers reach for in terms of a space that can be safe, a third space for youth. And it seems like just the publicity around that they exist, where they are, when they're open, is so low that even that sort of like low hanging fruit of an existing municipal facility that could be kept open hasn't even been explored, let alone all the other things that we have talked about over the past few months. Why isn't the mayor's office sponsoring more events? Why aren't they partnering with Lincoln Theater, 930 Club, Howard Theater, all of our venues, and doing youth-oriented activity? I mean, like, all that kind of stuff is much more complicated. We haven't even done layer one, which is so incredibly frustrating. But I'm glad that that was surfaced at our committee meeting, which, is, like I have pointed out, I don't think the Mayor's Youth Advisory Council is meeting. There's so many ways to engage young people that I don't see our leaders leaning into at all, which is very disappointing. Commissioner Sycamore.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm doing some thinking and doing some reading on this. MPD has done, as of April 3rd, 280 curfew violations in DC with 0 arrests. I think this resolution, while actually I don't think goes far enough, I think it should be permanent personally, but I'm willing to take a temporary measure with Commissioner Fay's resolution here. It at least sends a signal to the council. And I think sitting on our hands and doing nothing, especially as the ANC for U Street, is incredibly ineffective and incredibly lazy on our part. I think that if we didn't pass this, this shows that we're just throwing our hands up in the air and not really wanting to do any sort of negotiation whatsoever. Nothing happens good with a 13-year-old anytime past 10 o'clock. I am in full support of this resolution, and I think if commissioners don't support that, you're going to be sending the wrong message to the community, and I think you're going to send the wrong message to the youth as well. So I'll be in full support of this.
Okay. I think we're probably
I take a little bit of a different view. I just want to point out, the fact that we don't pass one resolution doesn't mean we take, we have no options, and Commissioner Fay is giving us, I think, a much more interesting line to pursue.
No, but think of the message that we're sending. I think that's terrible.
I will.
There's also a message. Sorry, hold on. There's also a message in telling young people they're welcome nowhere, which is.
But this is a bar neighborhood. This is for bars.
I'm not asking you. I'm not asking you questions. I'm not asking you questions here. It's,
I know you've been talking a lot, so can you get your own 2 minutes? Thanks.
Did you have a 2-minute timer?
I haven't spoken for 2 minutes. You've talked way beyond that. So come on, Chair, get with it.
All right, let's call the question, or
yeah, let's call the question.
No, because I haven't finished speaking. Actually, thank you very much.
Stop.
Also, look, I'm gonna say,
look at that ego. I love it.
Think it's the.
Hey, buddy.
Do I not have speaking rights in the body?
You've gone way beyond your 2 minutes. So let's go. Call the question.
Can I have a fresh 2 minutes to speak
2 minutes.
uninterrupted?
2 minutes. Jamie gets 2 minutes. Aaron gets 2 minutes. Let me pop up the timer. I'm doing it.
Oh my
Hold
God,
on.
this is way
Hold
beyond 2
on.
minutes. All right.
Hold on. Starting right now. 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
Okay.
Wonderful. I'm as I have said, very interested in what Commissioner Fay is talking about. Very interested in what Commissioner Barry has been working on his. Yes, Commissioner Harris, I see you. We'll come to you next. On his committee, I think it's a much more productive thing coming up, and I'd like to be engaged in that. I'm planning to abstain on the resolution because there's also the opposite risk that Commissioner Fay teased out a little bit, that if this set of curfew provisions falls away, we do risk going back to a situation where there isn't this protocol for MPD to pick up youth, not arrest them, not introduce them into the justice system, not put them in a cell, but simply transport them home. There are protections in the current curfew laws that keep kids out of the justice system, and that part was thoughtfully designed. So I also don't want us to go back to a situation where those protections aren't in place either. I think the council's really backed itself into a crappy corner here, stuck between these two things. No long-term solutions, but some of those protections that were thoughtful are at risk of falling away. So, caught between those two things and anticipating something more comprehensive and interesting coming down the pike, I'm planning to abstain. We can go ahead to Commissioner Harris has changed her mind on speaking. Anyone else while we're on the topic?
Aaron, did you have a comment?
Oh, I was just trying to call the question because I felt like we'd gotten there.
We can do that. All right. All those in favor of the resolution as presented, please raise whatever hand is available to you. That's 2 in favor. All those opposed to the resolution, please raise your hands. That's 2 opposed. I'll note an abstention. Commissioner Hanrahan, let's treat it as a roll call vote. Can you just for clarity let us know how you're voting?
I was going to follow you, Chair, and abstain.
And abstain. All right, that's 2 to 2 to 2. The motion does not pass.
Okay.
All right, that's the end of our agenda. Is there anything else before we wrap up? Next meeting of the commission will be on May 7th.
Oh.
Yep.
Sorry, I just got word from Mr. Rube at Icon DC that he would actually like to proceed if that's possible.
No, we pulled it off the agenda. We'll leave it off the agenda for now.
All right.
I appreciate that. John, I'll get in touch with you if he's still in the room.
He is.
Okay. We can talk offline. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. Finished at 9 p.m.